The moment he stepped out of his luxury car with his glamorous mistress holding tightly onto his arm, he smiled as though he had already won. He expected jealous stares, whispered admiration, and perhaps even the satisfaction of watching his ex-wife lower her eyes in humiliation. Instead, what awaited him on the university campus would become the single most unforgettable moment of his life. Hidden among the sea of proud families was someone whose presence would expose years of lies, betrayal, and selfishness. Before the graduation ceremony ended, the man who believed he controlled everyone around him would discover that pride always has a price, and kindness has a way of finding justice when no one expects it. Before we continue this emotional journey, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Every like, comment, and subscription helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world that compassion is never wasted. For years, Emily Carter believed that love could survive almost anything. She was the kind of woman who quietly carried burdens without asking anyone to notice. She worked long hours, skipped vacations, postponed her own dreams, and poured every ounce of energy into creating a peaceful home for her husband, Richard, and their only son, Ethan. She never imagined that the sacrifices she made so willingly would someday become invisible to the man she loved most. Richard had once been an ambitious young businessman with modest dreams and a grateful heart. In the early years of their marriage, they struggled financially, counting every dollar and celebrating the smallest victories together. Emily believed those difficult years had made their relationship stronger. She stayed beside him through failed investments, sleepless nights, and overwhelming debt. When Richard finally succeeded in building a thriving construction company, everyone praised his determination. Few people knew that Emily had quietly supported the family by working extra shifts, selling family heirlooms, and comforting him whenever he wanted to give up. Success changed Richard slowly, almost invisibly at first. The humble husband Emily had fallen in love with gradually disappeared behind expensive suits, luxury cars, exclusive parties, and influential friends. His conversations became shorter, his patience thinner, and his appreciation almost non-existent. The man who once thanked Emily for every little kindness now acted as though everything around him existed simply because he deserved it. Ethan noticed the changes before anyone else. As a child, he adored watching his parents laugh together over simple dinners. As a teenager, those joyful evenings became uncomfortable silences. His father's business calls interrupted every family gathering, and whenever Emily tried to reconnect, Richard always seemed distracted by something more important. Ethan often found his mother sitting alone after everyone had gone to bed, pretending to read while quietly wiping tears from her eyes before anyone could notice. Emily never spoke badly about Richard in front of their son. She believed children should never be forced to choose between their parents. Instead, she encouraged Ethan to focus on his education, reminding him that character mattered more than wealth. Those lessons became the foundation of Ethan's life. While his father admired powerful people, Ethan admired his mother's quiet strength. By the time Ethan entered university, Richard's absence from family life had become almost normal. He missed birthdays, anniversaries, and school celebrations, always claiming urgent business responsibilities. Social media painted the image of a successful entrepreneur traveling the world, attending elegant galas, and enjoying luxurious vacations. Behind the carefully crafted photographs was a painful truth Emily refused to acknowledge for far too long. Rumors eventually reached her through mutual friends. Richard had been seen repeatedly with a younger woman named Vanessa. At first, Emily dismissed the stories as misunderstandings. She trusted the promises they had built their marriage upon. But small details began connecting like pieces of a heartbreaking puzzle. Late-night messages quickly hidden from view. Unexplained business trips. Expensive purchases that never appeared in their home. The growing emotional distance became impossible to ignore. The truth finally revealed itself on an ordinary rainy afternoon. Emily accidentally discovered photographs Richard had carelessly left inside his office briefcase. There was no denying what she saw. Richard and Vanessa stood together on beaches, at luxury hotels, and inside restaurants Emily had always dreamed of visiting. The smiles on Richard's face looked brighter than any she had seen in years. That discovery shattered something inside her, but it did not destroy her dignity. Instead of creating public scenes or seeking revenge, Emily quietly met with a lawyer and began rebuilding her life one careful step at a time. The divorce was painful, yet she refused to fill it with hatred. She asked for very little beyond fairness, determined that Ethan would not become another casualty of his parents' broken marriage. Richard, however, interpreted Emily's silence as weakness. He convinced himself she would always remain the forgotten woman standing in the background while he pursued a more glamorous future. Vanessa eagerly embraced the luxurious lifestyle he provided, and together they appeared frequently at exclusive social events. To outsiders, they looked like the perfect successful couple. Only a handful of people knew that Richard's empire rested upon years of Emily's unseen sacrifices. Meanwhile, Ethan continued working tirelessly toward his degree. He balanced demanding classes with part-time jobs, refusing to depend on his father's money. His greatest motivation was seeing the quiet pride in his mother's eyes every time he accomplished something through honesty and determination. Emily attended every presentation she could, celebrated every achievement, and reminded Ethan that true success was measured not by applause but by integrity. As graduation approached, invitations were sent to both parents. Emily hesitated before opening hers, wondering whether sitting near Richard would reopen old wounds. Ethan gently reassured her that this day was about celebrating years of hard work, not revisiting painful memories. She promised herself she would attend with a smile, regardless of what happened. Richard also received his invitation, but instead of viewing it as his son's proud milestone, he saw another opportunity to showcase his glamorous new life. He imagined arriving in a luxury car with Vanessa dressed elegantly beside him, convinced everyone, including Emily, would see how successful he had become. Vanity blinded him to the true meaning of the day. What Richard never realized was that someone else had also accepted Ethan's invitation. This unexpected guest had watched the entire family story unfold from a distance, carrying knowledge capable of changing everything. That person wasn't coming to create drama. They were coming to honor truth, loyalty, and the woman whose quiet sacrifices had made Ethan's success possible. As the morning of graduation slowly arrived beneath bright blue skies, thousands of proud families filled the university campus with laughter, flowers, cameras, and joyful anticipation. Emily stood quietly holding a simple bouquet she had saved for weeks to afford. Her dress was elegant but modest, reflecting the humility that had always defined her life. She had no idea that before the ceremony ended, years of silent pain would finally give way to a moment of extraordinary justice.